What's going on? Today we are talking about Yara rules and how to use Yara rules to hunt malwares. Previously we talked about that, and also we talked about how to configure Yara rules that look for patterns commonly found in malwares. Now today I'm gonna reiterate on that. We're gonna re-explain what is Yara, how to create Yara rules, and how to hunt for malwares. And we'll apply a practical scenario. So by definition, Yara is a multi-platform used in pattern matching, such as matching text and hex strings. So specifically, we always look to match text and hex strings. So what does that mean? It means, guys, that by creating rules in Yara, you are going to use the rules to search for files with specific attributes. So the attributes are always text and hexadecimal. So say you want, that's the definition by the way. Now say you want to look for a file that contains the string hello. Alright. So you want to look for all the files that contain the string hello. So what you would do, you would use Yara rules. You would create a Yara file, alright, and a Yara rule file that will look for all of the files that contain the string hello. Easy and simple. Now, to create Yara rules, we have to follow a specific formula. So a Yara rule file has the extension of, so Yara rule file has the extension of, extension is, so the extension is .yar. So if you want to create a new file, create a new rule, you will have to use the extension .yar. So now let's talk about how to create a rule file. Now a rule file has a specific formula. So let's talk about the rule file. So say we want a file called anything test.yar. Now this file has the following syntax, or when you open the file you will find the following lines. First, let's do that. So first we write rule, right, and then next to that we type the rule name. So here let's say the rule name is string checker. We would dash here checker. Okay, hello rule string checker, right, and then we put one curly brace. After that we have three sections. The first section is meta. Okay, next section is strings, could be strings. We will explain what we can put in this position, and lastly we put here condition. Okay, and then we close the curly bracket. So as you can see here, we start with the word or the keyword rule, and then we put the name of the rule. So in my case we are checking for strings, so I named that string checker. Now inside the string checker we have three sections. The first one is meta, and under meta there will be some keywords, under strings as well, and under condition. So meta is used to, as the word suggests, it's used to put descriptive information about the rule and the author. So here you find information about the author and description about the rule itself. Now in strings, here we define variables. Okay, here is the nitty-gritty of how it works. Inside the strings, we define variables. These variables, guys, will hold the value of the strings we're looking for. Say in the string checker, we're looking for the keyword or for the word hello. So here we define variables, or let's say one variable that is equal to hello. We will see an example in a while. Now in condition, we define how the rule works. So if I want to search, of course here we put $sign beside the variable. In the condition, if I want to search for the string hello, it means the only criteria that I am using is the variable name here. So I put here $sign and variable name. Okay, now in condition, there are some operators that we might need to use. These operators are conditional operators, like logical operators like and, or, not. These conditional operators are used to just connect the relationships or make relationships between the variables we define in the strings section. Now, the most commonly used Yara rules are under this formula or the file system. So basically, let's put here some small box like that. So say the name of this rule file is test.yar, okay, and I want to look for files that have the string hello, like here. So what I would do here, I would type in the command line, I would type yar, okay, and then I would type the name of the rule file, which is test.yar, and then I define the destination. So since I'm looking for files, I define here the directory in which I would like to apply the rule. So let's say I want to apply that at the home directory. So the rule file will look for all of the files in the home directory here that contain the word hello. If the word hello is found, it will return to the name of the rule that got triggered. So in our case here, the name of the rule is string checker. So the output will be string checker. It means that the string checker has been triggered. So after we have reviewed the concepts of how to use Yara rules, now let's apply that to a practical scenario. So today what we're gonna do, we will have a test, let's name it test virus file, okay? We will analyze this file using VirusTotal, alright? And also we will use the file command to understand the specifics about this file, like the extension, the executable, whatever, whether it's executable or not. After that, after we know that the file is virus, we will use also Yara rules. We will create a Yara rule to look for specific attributes in this file, and we will see if the rule will match or not. So for the illustration of this video, we are going to use material from day 20 and day 21, Advent of Cyber 3 2021 TryHackMe. Let's extend that to full screen and start. So in day 20, we are given a file. The file is test file, all right? We will analyze the file using VirusTotal and use the file command to understand more about the specifics of this file. So let's use now the command line, run the command line, make this a bit bigger. Okay, so in here we type, let's see where we are, desktop, cd desktop. All right, now ls, so the file in question is the test file. And the first thing we do when we start the analysis of any suspicious file, we use the file command. We want to know what the file does in a nutshell. sometimes some files or some viruses hide their extensions. So it doesn't mean when the test file has, let's say, JPG or PDF or exe, it doesn't mean that this is the actual extension. So we use the file command to find out more about these attributes. So we type file, you see the file is saying EICAR virus test files. Yeah, this is actually an EICAR virus test file. It doesn't do anything, but it is just a test file. It contains some attributes of the virus itself. Now if you type strings, strings is a command used to display all of the textual data that the file is using or is storing. So we type strings and then test file. So as you can see, these are the strings of this file, and this marks the answer for the first question in here. Now the next step, we want to analyze that with VirusTotal. So what we will do here, we first output the MD5 checksum of this file in order to use the checksum in VirusTotal. So MD5 sum, and we define the argument. The argument is the name of the file, and the result will be the hash of this file. So we're going to copy that, and we will open VirusTotal. So in the search bar, we type paste, or we put paste, and we search for the hash. And as you can see, guys, all of the antiviruses, nearly roughly all of them, mark this file as a virus, 52 out of 60, which is damn sure this file is a virus. You can take a look at the description and the type of every classification of the virus according to every malware antivirus provider. So if you go to details, we get some basic properties about the file, like MD5, the history, when it's first seen in the wild. When it's first seen in the wild, it means when this file was discovered by security researchers. Now here we have the other names used by the file. We can expand on that. You can add these names. Why do we care about these details, guys? Because these kind of details are called indicators of compromise. The MD5, the SHA, checksum, these names, all of these names can be used as indicators of compromise. What do you mean by indicators of compromise? These are specific attributes of viruses or files in general that can be used to search and hunt for malwares using Yara rules. That's the importance of Yara. So yeah, we know the importance of antiviruses, but sometimes we want to not only search for malwares using the signatures, we want to search for attributes or footprints they leave on the machine, like the names, like the checksums. Also, you can see here the IP addresses. All of these attributes are used in hunting malwares. So see, we have IPs, execution parents. So this is kind of summary about the behavior. Dropped files. Now if you go to behavior here, you see the process is created. So it means that when you install the virus, it will create a process called NTVDM and it will spawn bin bash. The process tree, the runtime modules or the DLLs, if you're analyzing DLLs, this will come in 8. Now also in the community, we come to look at the posts the community have made about this malware. Alright, so now we use VirusTotal to understand more about the file. Of course, if you are just looking to find out if a file is virus or not, you're good to go with using VirusTotal. But if you want to extend your analysis and make sure that your environment doesn't have this file, you will have to add extra bit onto your analysis. So which means we will have to use Yara rules to create rules that look for these attributes of this file and say if the system is infected with this malware, we will know by using Yara rules. Alright, so before moving to Yara, Let's now see the questions. So calculates the file hash and search for it on VirusTotal. When was the file first in the wild? We just talked about that. This is the date. Next, on VirusTotal's detection tab, what is the classification assigned to the file by Microsoft? Here we go again. We talked about that. In the detection tab, we see the classification released on the file by every antivirus provider. So if you're looking for Microsoft, so here is Microsoft on timeout. Oh, so this time it was timeout, but if you run this scan again, you will see that the answer is this one. Go to this link to learn more about this file and what is used for. What were the first two names of this file? So if you go to this link, it contains extended analysis of the file, and here you will see the file. This file used to be named Declan HTML or Declan HTML.htm. This is the answer for that. The file has 68 characters in the start, known as the known string. It can be appended with white space characters up to a limited number of characters. What's the maximum number of total characters that can be in the file? This kind of information, if you don't reverse engineer the file, you can find them here. So if you scroll down, you see here is information about the characters, and you see appended by any combination of white space characters with the total file length not exceeding 128. Okay, so we analyzed the file now. Let's now jump to the next task where we use Yara to analyze the file. So this is the very next task. You will analyze the same file, and you will see if Yara will see if the rule that you will create will trigger the file. Okay. So I think so now after we analyzed the EICAR test file, let's now create a Yara rule file that will match the strings in this virus. So nano EICAR, let's say EICAR rule.yara. Okay, so the first thing we type rule, and then we type the name of the rule. So we type EICAR Yara. That's the name of the rule. We open curly brackets, and then we go down one line. Next we type meta, and after meta we have the strings. After strings I have the condition, and after that I close the bracket. Finished, right? Of course not. Now we have under the meta here, we will put new space or a new line, and then we type information about the author itself, author and description of the Yara rule. So let's use a correct indentation. Okay, so author, say so under that we type TryHackMe, then description. So let's say under description we type EICAR string, and don't forget the double quotes. Okay, now under strings, so here we define the variables. These variables will hold the strings that we will match. So the first variable is, let's say, a, and now a equal to the first string. The first one is x50, which is actually the first pattern we're looking to match. The next one we define a new variable, let's say b, and inside b we put the next pattern. The next pattern is EICAR with all uppercase. And the third variable is, let's say, C, and inside C we put the third pattern. In this case it is antivirus, and the last one is D, and we name it test. So now these variables hold all of the strings that we want to match in the EICAR test file, virus test file. So specifically, we have these strings, guys. These strings will be used by the rule EICAR Yara to find if these strings are mentioned or used by this file or the virus. Now, if they are, okay, the rule will trigger and it will tell you that in the command line, as we will see in a while. Now, here the condition, what we are looking to match. So we can use two options. The first one, we have two options. The first one, we match A, B, C, D. It means the rule will trigger if all of these strings are found within the virus test file. Okay. Now, if one of these variables or one of these strings are not found in the file, the rule will not trigger. That if we used AND for all of these variables, to connect all of these variables. Now, if we use OR, we can use OR to match or to say that the rule will trigger if B, C, and D are found, or A. So how can we type this? So A, okay, or B and C and D, which means it will trigger if it finds A or if it finds B, C, and D. Okay. Let's now close the file and save it. Okay, as you can see, the file has been created, and now we run the file against the let's say run it against the desktop directory. Say we don't know that there is EICAR virus here, right? So we type yar and then the name of the file and then the directory. Command yar not found. Yeah, so Yara, I guess. So judging by the output, we can see that the rule has been triggered, and actually it's telling you what is the file that triggered the rule. As you can see, the file is test file, and we know that, but we didn't specify the file here. But let's say we don't, because of course in reality we don't know where is the virus, right? We just specify a directory. We specify the current working directory and we run the rule file. So the output is telling you the rule file EICAR rule.yar actually matched some strings in this file, so which means this file is actually a virus according to the Yara rule. Now let's take a look at some options we can use while we match strings in files. So say we want to list the metadata of the file that triggered that matched the string. So we type -m. You see here we have some information or meta information about the rule file, author and description. Now say we want to type or use, sometimes Yara rules contain more than one rule. So a Yara rule file here, like this one, may contain more than one rule inside of it. So in some scenarios, we may need to know what is the exact rule in the rule file that triggered the existence or that found the strings in the malware. So we type -s. So as you can see, in this case, we see the name of the rule, okay, and we see the attributes that got triggered, as you can see here. Now, if you want to see what are the attributes or what are the rules inside the rule file that did not trigger the detection, we type -n, and we see there is nothing, right? Okay, last question. Change the Yara rule file, the Yara rule value for the variable a string to x50. Rerun the command, but this time with the -c option, which is the result. All right. So here the -c option actually, it's used to list the count of the rules that hit. Okay. Now, if we change that to x50, the answer will be 0 there are no rules that will hit. Let's see how this works. So we know originally that a is equal to x50, right? And we got a hit on the test file here. So how come we will get 0 now? So basically what we're gonna do here, we're gonna put here and, which means the file or the rule will hit only if all of these strings are hit on the file. Now when we run this, see the output now. The output here, we got 0 beside the virus test file. So what does that mean? It means 0 hit on this file. Why? Because actually I changed the condition. The condition was if, let me get back, explain this one more time. So here previously we had OR. So OR meant if you find A or the combination of B, C, and D. And it was triggering because there is no need to match A in the virus test file. Okay. But when we replaced OR with AND, we insisted on the Yara rule file that the rule will trigger only if you find the combination of these strings all together. That's why we got 0, which means the variable A, which is used to match the string x50, the x50 is not in the test file. That's the explanation of it. So that was for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative, and see you later.